sfdcradio.com and mash up the world.
Welcome once again to another Straight to the Point with the Honorable Mandingo.
Yes, and it's I, the Mandingo, giving thanks and praises to the Almighty Creator. Today, Sunday, the 29th of November 2015. Yes, good job, listeners of SFDC Radio. Another Straight to the Point on a Sunday again from I, the Mandingo. And greetings, Ujambo, also to you, Silver Fox. And as usual, so many things to discuss and to talk about. Just wanna say that Monday the 23rd of November 2015 was the 70th birthday of my friend, the singer and songwriter, Cornell Campbell, who was born on the 23rd of November 1945. And this week here is very, very important in terms of what is happening. Very, very important in terms of what is happening with respect to Western Asia, misnamed the Middle East, as well as Northwest Asia, especially the western part of Northwest Asia, which is Europe. Because Europe is not a continent. Europe is a part of the Asian continent. It is the northwestern part of the Asian continent. Asia, of course, being the largest continent. Africa, the second largest. And talking about Africa being the largest continent, I mean, and non-Africans have not stopped robbing Africa. For example, in Somalia, again on the news again, complaints by Africans from Somalia of Europeans, the non-African nations, stealing the fish from out of Somalia's waters, which has deprived the fishermen, the Somalian fishermen, of their livelihood, and which has made some of them, because the fish that they use to fish for in their waters is being stolen by trawlers from non-African nations coming into Somalian waters and stealing the fish. And this is something that is very serious. It's the same situation in West Africa also, whereby the fish is being stolen by non-Africans, Europeans and others. They are trawlers coming into West African waters and stealing the fish that is there for our African fishermen to catch. And the thing about it is that when you look at so-called charities like Oxfam and others, if you were to, as you would say, follow Oxfam and other so-called charities about aid and that type of thing, you would see that a false picture is being given of Africa and Africans, that we are dependent on Europeans and others, primarily Europeans. But this is not so, because it is the Europeans who are dependent on our African resources in Africa. Because the paper money that they print is worthless. It's a con. What is of value are the natural resources of Africa, like coltan, which is indispensable for making mobile phones, the silver, the gold, the iron, the manganese, the platinum, etc. We have the resources that the rest of the world wants, that the Chinese want, that the Europeans want, that the Indians want, what the Arabs want. In one sentence, if we as Africans were to stop the export of our natural resources to Europe, to the US, China, India, etc., these countries, these places would have a low standard of living. They would suffer, because it is the resources from Africa that enable the peoples in these countries, in Europe and elsewhere, to have a high standard of living. They live off us. They are the parasites leeching from our African motherland. So we do not need them. It is they who need us. And what is happening is that where it comes on to our raw materials, either it is being stolen outright, or two, we are paid much less than the value of our raw materials, which is another form of theft. And this is why there is this constant attempt to keep Africans divided, because only by division and by playing Africans against Africans can non-Africans continue to rob and exploit the resources of our motherland for their benefit, which means that our people on the continent have the lowest standard of living. So here we have the ironic situation of Africa with the largest, richest natural resources on planet Earth. Our people, our African people, have the lowest standard of living, because the riches of Africa are not being used to benefit Africans. The riches of Africa are being used to benefit still non-Africans. And this is why we have to fight to implement the Marcus Garvey Black Print solution of working together and establishing a continental African government with one army, one navy, and one air force, so that we are able to protect our natural resources and use them for the benefit of our people. And this is why it is important that every African family should have a copy of Marcus Garvey's The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, should also have a copy of The School of African Philosophy by Marcus Garvey, should also have the book Race First by Dr. Tony Martin, the Garveyite, a book which explains the ideology and organizational struggles of Marcus Garvey and his organization, and also to have copies of How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rodney, the African from Guyana, as well as book by Dr. Chancellor Williams, the destruction of black civilization. These books are totally important. And books by Dr. Yosef Ben Yochanan are equally important because they show how non-African religions have been used to enslave the minds of Africans, whether they be Christian religion or Islam. Predominantly, those two religions have wreaked the most havoc in terms of enslaving the African mind. Islam, Arab, Muslim Islam, and European Christianity have been responsible for mentally enslaving African people using religion as a vehicle. And at this point, I would just like you to play Peter Tosh, Equal Rights and Justice. Peter Tosh, my favorite whaler.
So right now we're going to play that track, Equal Rights,
Yes,
Peter
indeed.
Tosh.
Everyone is crying out for peace, yes. None is crying out for justice. Everyone is crying out for peace, yes. None is crying out for justice. I don't want no peace. I need equal rights and justice. I need equal rights and justice. I need equal rights and justice. Got to get it. Equal rights and justice. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Followers of Jesus, everybody wants to go up to heaven, but none of them want to die. I don't want no peace. I might need equal rights and justice. I got to get it. Equal rights and justice. I really need it. Equal rights and justice. Just give me my share. Equal rights and justice. What is due to Caesar? You better give it on to Caesar. Hey, hey, hey. And what belongs to I and I? You better give it up to I. 'Cause I don't want no peace. I need equal rights and justice. I need equal rights and justice.
Equal Rights and Justice, Peter Tosh.
Yes, indeed. Equal rights and justice. Peter Tosh. And some of the organizations, the mechanisms, so to speak, that are used to steal African resources and to control Africans in various ways are the so-called United Nations, where no African country is on the Security Council that has the right to veto anything. The countries that have the right of veto, not even the right, it's not the right, the power to veto anything, even when the overwhelming majority of people, countries in the UN vote for something. If one of the five members of the so-called Security Council, vote against, they have a veto, then the decision will not be carried, despite the fact that the overwhelming majority of other countries have voted for a motion. And who are the countries who have the veto? Britain, the US, France, Russia, and China. 4 of these countries are European owned and controlled. The US, because of genocide and capture, is owned and controlled by the Europeans. Britain, the island of Britain, owned and controlled by Europeans of German stock predominantly. Russia, owned and controlled by Europeans, the Russians. France, owned and controlled by the French, who are another set of Europeans of Gaulish stock and of Frankish German stock, etc. And 5, China, the only non-European power. They have the veto also. So, as Marcus Garvey said, power is the only argument that satisfies man. And one of the things that you notice with all of these 5 countries, powers, that have the veto, is that they all are nuclear weapon powers. They all have nuclear arms. No African country, and there are about 54 states in Africa. Most of them are African populated. The rest are Arab occupied, North Africa, etc. But no African country has the veto. No African country sits on the Security Council. So they have no veto. We have no veto. So they control the UN, these 5, for their own interests. They also use charities, Europeans like British, called Oxfam, a so-called charity. And the thing about charity is that most of the money raised for these charities, 80% or more, does not go to the country or countries that they say that they are raising monies for or help for. Most of the monies are spent on paying the people in Britain, in Oxfam. This is how these charities. So most of the money, when you give the money, 80% or more of your money is to pay for the staff in Britain and in other such countries. In the UN, they have the World Health Organization. Again, that is European controlled. Take, for example, the situation with Ebola in Liberia. It took the so-called World Health Organization 9 months to declare Ebola to be a problem in West Africa, even though they knew 9 months. This is a form of genocide. two main ways in which they use money, finances, to control the economy, the trade, and the commerce of African countries in Africa and in the Caribbean are the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, which is always headed by a European from Europe. At present, the head is a French female. The other organization that they use to control our economies is the World Bank. And the only thing World Bank about it is that it is always headed by an American from the U.S., and they use the World Bank, their World Bank, to try to control, exploit, and dictate to the rest of the world in terms of trade. Because if African countries in Africa and in the Caribbean and countries elsewhere were being paid the proper prices for their raw materials and their other goods, they would not be in any bad situation with regards to fulfilling the needs of the residents of their respective countries. In fact, in Jamaica, for example, more than 60% of every dollar, over 60 cents of every dollar, might even be 70 or more now, is not used in the Jamaican budget, is not used for the benefit of the people in Jamaica, but is used to repay so-called debt to the IMF, etc. So only 30 odd cents or so is left to deal with the health needs, the educational needs, and for building the infrastructure of the Jamaican economy. I've used Jamaica as an example because what is true of Jamaica is true of other countries, most other countries in the Caribbean and in Africa and elsewhere. And this is why Marcus Garvey always told us that we must educate ourselves about economics, about politics, about religion, and other such related subjects. Because if we do not educate ourselves about politics, about economics, how to do business, and how to set up our own self-reliant organization, we will continue to suffer. Because the only true aid that we as Africans must accept and get is our own self-reliance. Once you depend on others for aid, it is a tool for enslavement and domination and exploitation by others. The only solution is self-reliance, not depending on so-called aid from others. Because when others give you so-called aid, it is in order to control you. And this is why Marcus Garvey said, we must master and study politics, economics, and religion, etc. Because these are the tools that have been used to keep our people in mental, physical, and spiritual slavery. And at this point, I would like you to play the song called War by Bob Marley and his Wailers Band, because we are having a situation where this coming week we will see who will triumph, because David Cameron and his stories and the Blairites in the Labour Party in Britain are trying to convince the people that the British, the RAF, should bomb Syria. And Jeremy Corbyn, Ken Livingstone, and others, including myself, I am not of the Labour Party, etc., are against the bombing of Syria, because the bombing of Syria will not make people in Britain safe from what happened in Paris. And I will say more where this is concerned after you play this song, War, by Bob Marley, backed by the Wailers Band.
All right. So,
and
right.
Of course, the War is from a speech by Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, Emperor, and Bob Marley put it to song.
SFDC, radio.com. Heard them for know what time is it tonight. Save me there. In the Caribbean, I have to listen. Outside of the Caribbean, we still have to listen to the radio station.
Until the philosophy which old one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned. Everywhere is war. It's a war that until they're no longer first class and second class citizens of any nation, until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes. Miss a war that until the basic human rights are equally guaranteed to all without regard to race. This a war that until that day, the dream of lasting peace, world citizenship, rule of international morality will remaining but a fleeting illusion to be pursued but never attained. Now everywhere is war, war, and until the ignoble and unhappy regime that hold our brothers in Angola, in Mozambique, South Africa, subhuman bondage have been toppled, totally destroyed. Well, everywhere is war. Miss a war. War in the east, war in the west, war up north, war down south, war, rumors of a war, and until that day, the African continent will not know peace. We Africans will fight, we find it necessary, and we know we shall win, as we are confident in the victory of good over evil, good over evil, yeah.
War, every day is war. Sung by Bob Marley, the word of Emperor Haile Selassie. And
Yes,
the words are
that's
so
it.
simple and so true. And you know, you ask yourself why the world leaders them cannot see the truth in words like these, and they complicate things and make the world more dangerous?
Well, the thing is that most of them are not world leaders. They are world misleaders. They are misleaders. Misleading the people because they are racist, hypocritical, and selfish. Not operating in the interests of the majority of the people in the world, but operating for their own selfish benefit and for their own tiny group, and for their, very racist. Now, the thing about it is that I think it was 2007 or thereabouts, but it was the month of July when 52 people were murdered by 4 bombers in London. 52 people. People of all races, African, European, Indians, etc. And of all religions and non-religions. Some were Christians, some were Muslims, some were of other faiths, etc. Murdered in London. And before the attacks were carried out by these 4 suicide killers, because they killed themselves, saying that they were martyring themselves in the cause of Muslims who were being killed by the British and other European powers in Iraq. Now, Tony Blair was warned by the British intelligence chiefs not to join George Bush and invade Iraq, because this would result in radicalizing Muslims in this country, especially the younger ones, into taking such acts in revenge, in retaliation. Tony Blair ignored the warning. And he could afford to, because he has security 24/7 for himself and his family, his wife and his children. But we, the vast majority of the people, have no such security. He doesn't have to travel on the road or on trains like most people. So he's not at risk as the vast majority of people in Britain. And this was written by the leader of the 4-man group who detonated bombs, killing themselves and others, because they said that the same way in which innocent civilians were killed in Iraq by the British, the French, and the Americans, well, they are doing the same thing on behalf of their Muslim co-religionists who died innocently in Iraq. Now, part of the lies told by the Tory press in this country is that Ken Livingstone was justifying and saying that these 4 gave their life for their people, their co-religionists. Now, this is what you call being economical with the truth, because you're trying to tell lies that Ken Livingstone was praising them. Ken Livingstone was not praising them. Ken Livingstone was merely stating the truth, that they stated that the reason why they were giving their life, killing themselves, was in order to retaliate for British and other NATO countries bombing and killing Muslims in Iraq. That is what Ken Livingstone said. He was not praising or glorifying them at all. That's a total lie. And this is why one has to be aware of the press in terms of this type of thing, because they tell blatant lies. The owners of these press, this media, who are against people who are opposed to bringing the majority of people in danger. So Ken Livingstone was not glorifying the four who killed innocent people. He was merely stating what they themselves had stated as to why they did what they did. And that's the simple fact of the matter. And talking about killings, on the 23rd, which was Monday, the 23rd of November, Monday, 23rd November 2015, the same day that Cornell Campbell, a singer-songwriter, my friend, celebrated his 70th birthday. In the night, a young 17-year-old was stabbed to death, was found not far from Caledonian Road in Holloway, in North London. Very, very sad. Stabbed to death. And his death has made the number of youths stabbed to death in London since the year began in 2015 to 14 youths. And most of them have been African youths, not all, but most of the 14 youths who have been stabbed to death in London by other youths. And most of the stabbings have been done by African youth, also against African youth. You know. But this has been the case in London. This thing of misguided youths, and they are the minority, because the majority of youths do not engage in this murderous rampage, this bloodthirsty killing of other youths. And this is why it is important that there should be youth centers to take up the time of youths, disaffected youths, to get them engaged in constructive activities and to wean them away from destructive thoughts, impulses, and actions. Youths are in need of education, whether vocational or otherwise, to deter them from engaging in murderous activities. It's very, 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 very serious. Now, the point was made by Jeremy Corbyn on the BBC Anjumar program, which comes on every Sunday from 9 to 10 in the morning. Jeremy Corbyn, when interviewed this morning by Anjumar on BBC One, the program from 9 to 10, Jeremy Corbyn explained that he's against bombing Syria because the bombing of Syria will not be a solution to defeating ISIS. Troops have to be found on the ground to defeat ISIS. Bombing alone will not defeat ISIS. Adolf Hitler's Luftwaffe bombed London and other British cities, Coventry and other places like that, in the European World War of 1939 to 1945. But the bombing by the German Luftwaffe did not defeat the British, because the only way the British could have been defeated was that the Germans would have had to invade and occupy Britain. Bombing alone, whilst important in war, is not sufficient, because you have to have troops on the ground, as they call it, boots on the ground, to seize and to occupy territory. And all Cameron is talking about is bombing, which will lead to the same devastation that took place in Iraq when Saddam Hussein was overthrown, and now more people have died in Iraq as a result of the invasion by NATO. The same thing that took place in Libya. There is no strategy other than they want to do the same thing in Syria to reduce Syria to being a failed state, a state where there's constant violence, constant civil war, as you have in Iraq, where Iraqis are killing each other, in Libya where Libyans are killing each other. But the only reason why Cameron and Obama and others, Holland, want to overthrow President Assad's government in Syria is not because they are concerned about President Assad being a dictator, because they support the Saudis in Arabia, the dictators in Bahrain, the dictators in Kuwait, and other places. So it's not about being against dictators, because they are friends, they arm and support dictators who do their bidding. It is because the Syrian government is the only Arab government that is totally and resolutely against the Zionist state of Israel. And the Zionist state of Israel is the military outpost of NATO in Western Asia. Western Asia misnamed the Middle East. This is the real reason. If President Assad's government was supportive of the Israeli Zionist government, like how the military in Egypt, the dictatorship there with Sisi, and the dictators in Saudi Arabia, they are not fighting Israel. They are friends with the Israelis. If President Assad was like that, Cameron and others would not want to overthrow him. It is because he's totally against, he and his government are totally against the Zionist state of Israel. This is why they want to remove him from power. This is why they are even saying that after ISIS, they will work with President Assad now, because they have no choice in fighting against IS, these Islamic terrorists. But after that, they want President Assad's government to go. But what is happening in Syria? It is a civil war between some Sunni Muslims and the Alawite group to which President Assad belongs to, as well as the Christian minority, the Yazidi minority, and other minorities, Shia minorities in Syria. And the Iranians, whose government is Shia, just like how the government in Iraq is Shia, the Iranians and Hezbollah, who are Shia in Lebanon, they are fighting and supporting President Assad. So, because the Iranians know that if the government of President Assad falls in Syria, the next target, the final target, the real target, is Iran. And they are not going to allow that. The Russians have a base in Syria from the days of President Assad's father. And the Russians are supporting President Assad because they know that if President Assad's government is not in power in Syria, they will no longer have a base in Syria. But the Americans have bases in Turkey. The Americans have base base, not just in Turkey. They also have a base, the Fifth Fleet, in Bahrain, which is a dictatorship, a Sunni dictatorship. And let us remember that the Saudis have been beheading people for about 100 years since they came to power. And before them, they have been beheadings in Arabia. So when they are trying to pretend as if IS are the only ones who are beheading people, it's a total lie. The Saudis have been beheading people and are still beheading people. This is racist, colonialist hypocrisy. And on this note, my brother, I would like you to play Joe Higgs, The Wave of War, followed by Rankin Trevor and The Wailing Soul, the song called War. So Joe Higgs, one of the godfathers of Jamaican singers, The Wave of War, followed by War by The Wailing Soul and Rankin Trevor, my friend from Australia Road, Waterhouse, St. Andrew, Jamaica.
The wave of war is rising like the morning sun, and he who liveth by the sword, his time has come. So let the water and the blood of the wicked overflow, 'cause the time has come. The Lord Jehovah, He's my strength, and He's my song, and He's my joy and my salvation all day long. So when the war has circled me, I'll be as faithful as can be, 'cause the time has come. The wave of war is rising like the morning sun, and he who liveth by the sword, his time has come. So let the water and the blood of the wicked overflow, 'cause the time has come. The Lord Jehovah is my strength and He's my song, 'cause the time has come. And He's my joy and my salvation all day long, 'cause the time has come. Oh yeah, everybody know about that. It's no secret, you know. You know that I know that you know that I know. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That was Joe Higgs, Wave of War.
Yes, indeed, a sign really, really of what is really, really going on and to remind people of what is really going on worldwide. The Wave of War by the Wailing Soul.
All right, so we're gonna get
Channel 1 production.
We're gonna get to that right now.
Wailing Soul and Ranking Trevor. War. No, that's not it. Yes, this is it.
All right, let me get that again.
Yes, indeed.
Right from the beginning. Make we just start
right from the
out.
beginning. Yes, indeed. The
yes,
Wave of War. I mean, not the Wave of War, but War. Yes, Wailing Soul from Trenchtown, St. Andrew, Jamaica, and Ranking Trevor, the DJ, my friend from Australia Road, Waterhouse, St. Andrew, Jamaica.
Make we just
yes, indeed.
Yes.
War in the West, oh, there's a war. War in the East, war in the West, oh, there's a war. Grandma said, penny wise and pound foolish. See them, Grandma said, penny wise and pound foolish. See them, war in the East, war in the West, oh, rumors of war. War down in Angola, war in the rumors of war, rumors of war. It is better to fight against inflation and build a better nation. Stop your killing and burning. Soon they'll be weeping and mourning. Grandma said, penny wise and pound foolish. See the war in the East, war in the West. Oh, rumors of war. War down in Beirut, war in the West. War down in Rhodesia, rumors of war. Against inflation, build a better nation. Stop your killing and burning. Soon they'll be weeping and mourning. Grandma said, penny wise and pound foolish. See them, war in the East, war in the West, oh, rumors of war. Racial war, war in the West, oh, rumors of war. Tribal war, war over the world, all over the world, there is war. We need some loving. No more war, no more war. Stand and defeat you right. I see who will you with the tribal body. I see who will you with the tribal body. I see war in the east, see no war in the west. And I'm coming from the west So with my latest request, sick with the tribal war. But I'll be looking back with the tribal war. I'll say, God, to see far, it don't matter who you are. I'll sick with the tribal war. I'll say, war with my north, in a war with my south. They chat up them out, I don't know what they chat about. I see me with the tribal war. Take me to the place, come with the tribal war. I tell you about my time, I live the winner, come on, me. I say we with the tribal war. I see no puppy and rolling. They not the great, I know no stumbling, no grumbling. God let me tell you, see no puppy and rolling. Love me little brother like you love me little mommy. Sing we do with the tribal war. It don't matter who you are, you're rich in the mood of Chakuka. Get as big as weight, that's it, that don't you be lazy. With you with your fussy and fighting. God let me see you know me stop feeling dumb days. God let me see you see that summer back fighting.
War in the east, war in the west, rumors of war, the Wailing Souls alongside Rankin Trevor.
Yes, indeed. And, you know, the thing about Erdogan, that killer in Turkey, that dictator in Turkey, is that he deliberately shot down that Russian fighter jet that was going to bomb these Islamic terrorists, Daesh, in Syria. Because the reason why these Islamic terrorists, IS, are able to do what they are doing is because the Turkish regime, headed by Erdogan, are supporting them with arms and money and allowing them to use Turkey as a place to invade Syria, a safe haven. This is why IS has been able to achieve so much. And the oil that they have been stealing from Iraq and Syria, they have been selling it to the Turks. And the Turks they have been selling it to, some of them are the family of Erdogan, the Turkish president, who gets in this stone oil, buying it from IS, has sold this oil onto other countries. So he and his family are making money from this, Erdogan. And this is why he has always been trying to overthrow President Assad and his government in Syria. This is happening. But if you were to read the Rupert Murdoch papers and papers like other papers like that, and to watch BBC and Channel 4 and others like that, you would never know this. And this is why people like George Galloway, Ken Livingstone, Jeremy Corbyn, O'Donnell, etc., people who point out these facts that I know myself, they try to say that these people are stupid, these people don't know what they are doing, and these people want to destroy IS. It's a lie. IS are doing what they are doing because the Turkish regime of Erdogan, which is a Muslim extremist regime, because they want to turn Turkey into a Muslim state when it's a secular state founded by Ataturk. So they want to turn it into a Muslim state. And in fact, they have been killing the Kurds. Just recently, a few days ago, they killed shot dead a prominent Kurdish lawyer after a press conference that he gave in Turkey, because the regime of Erdogan the Turk is against the Kurds having any autonomy for themselves. Just like how they are against the Armenians. Remember, it was about 1915 or so that the Armenians, about almost 2 million of them, were massacred by the Turks. So, people, I have to make you be aware of what really is happening. Remember what IS, these Islamic terrorists, are doing in beheading people, raping people, enslaving people. It's the same thing that these Muslim terrorists in Nigeria, Boko Haram, are doing. Because Boko Haram wants to force to turn Nigeria into a Muslim state. It's the same type of thing. You see the problems that Kenya has with Muslim terrorists from Al-Shabaab in havoc in Kenya. This is the kind of situation. And it goes to show the problems that occurs when Africans put religions, foreign religions at that, above their own racial interests. As Marcus Garvey said, you must put your racial interests first and above all other things. Because you can change your religion, you can change your profession, you can change your shoes, your clothes, your house, but you cannot change your race. Race first. And on that note, I would like you to play Peter Tosh, the African, to remind people, to remind Africans that we must remember to put our race first. Our racial interests must come first. Europeans put their racial interests first. Arabs put their racial interests first. They use Islam as a vehicle, just like how Christians in the past used Christianity as a vehicle. And remember, both Islam and Christianity are not African religions. They're foreign religions. And they are intolerant. It's true. Check their theology. They are intolerant of African religions that they look down on. This is a fact. And Arabs and Europeans alike have been racist, enslavers and exploiters of Africans, murdering Africans over the centuries. Arabs have been doing it for over 1,000 years. Europeans have been doing it for around 500 years. This is a fact. So, African, by Peter Tosh, my favorite whaler.
SFDC, radio.com. Hey, them for know what time is it tonight. Save me there. In the Caribbean, I feel listen. Outside of the Caribbean, me still have to listen to the radio station. The SFDC. I saw the thing said.
Think you where you come from. As long as you're a black man, you're an African. No mind your nationality, you have got the identity of an African. Cause if you come from Clarendon, and if you come from Portland, and if you come from Westmoreland, you're an African. So don't care where you come from. As long as you're a black man, you're an African. No mind your nationality, you have got the identity of an African. Cause if you come from Trinidad, and if you come from Nassau, and if you come from Cuba, you're an African. Cause if your flexion high, 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 if your flexion low, and if your flexion in between, you're an African. So don't care where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. No mind denomination, that is only segregation, you're an African. Cause if you go to the Catholic, and if you go to the Methodist, and if you go to the Church of God, you're an African. So don't care where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. No mind your nationality, you have got the identity of an African. Cause if you come from Brixton, and if you come from Eastgate, and if you come from Eastgate, and if you come from Bronx, and if you come from Brooklyn, and if you come from Queens, and if you come from Manhattan, and if you come from Canada, and if you come from Miami, and if you come from Switzerland, and if you come from Germany.
Yes, yes, no matter where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. I saw the man say, Peter Tosh.
True words. True words indeed, you know. And when you know that you're an African, one of the things that you have to do is to unite. So, Bob Marley, Africa Must Unite, by Bob Marley, backed by his Wailers Band. And before you play that, Bob Marley, backed by his Wailers Band, you notice, for those who don't know, let me tell you this. The reason why reggae music is discriminated against so much is that of all the musical forms in the world, reggae music is the most revolutionary music. Reggae music, created by the grassroots Africans of Jamaica and made by the grassroots Africans of Jamaica. And remember that I am a reggae record producer, producing artists like Sugar Minor. Ever look at in your run to Babylon, General Echo, African National Heroes, Barry Brown, Rasta, Man, Woman of Dignity, etc. Reggae music is the most revolutionary of all music. And this is why the racist European imperialists fight against reggae music. This is why, ever since the coming of reggae in 1968, they have always tried to fight against the promotion and the playing of reggae music on radio stations in Britain and in the US, etc. Remember, the FBI and the other intelligence services in Britain and in the US, etc., used to surveil and watch and harass Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, and others. Yes, because of the messages that they were sending out using the vehicle of reggae music. You notice, Silver Fox, when last have you heard any genuine, any reggae music being played on BBC or on the TV stations, etc.? What you will find is that you will find all kind of nonsense and rubbish being played. But any reggae music with serious lyrics, you don't find them being played and being in their so-called charts.
That's a definite.
And not only that, They don't even make the love songs in reggae get played because they realize that if they play the love songs in reggae, like for example by Barry Salmon, Hope and Lindo and others, then that is a stepping stone to playing the reggae songs that are revolutionary. Because remember, reggae music has different lyrics. Reggae music, like ska and like rocksteady from Jamaica, created by the grassroots Africans of Jamaica, they deal with any topic. Any topic. So if they were to play on their stations, TV and radio, the love songs in reggae, then naturally it would follow that some of the revolutionary, the political, the Pan-Africanist reggae would also be played. So lyric songs coming from Sizzler, from Chronix, Kabaka Pyramid, and artists like, well, would be played. But they don't want these songs to be played. They don't want these artists to be promoted. It's just like what they did in rap. What did they promote in rap? They didn't promote the conscious rap songs like KRS-One and other people like that. And by the music by the last poets and that type of thing, positive rap music. What they promoted was gangster rap to encourage Africans, not only in the US, but elsewhere in the world, listening, especially the youths, to be killing each other, to be calling the African women hoes, whores, etc., and to encourage the skin bleaching. You notice when you look at the rap videos, almost all of the dancers who they have are very light-skinned, or they are European. There is direct discrimination against darker complexioned African women, girls. They are almost absent. So the message that is being sent is that to be dark is to be ugly.
Brother Mandingo.
If you want to be promoted, you have to be a light complexioned or a European looking person. So this is why you have the Beyoncés looking the way that they look. Look at Beyonce when she just started coming through with Destiny's Child. And look at her complexion now. Look at her hair now. It was the same thing. Houston too. Look at Whitney Houston when she just started. And then later on. Say what you're going to say, my brother.
You know,
I know you have something to say about what I'm just saying.
Yes, because that was something my little daughter pointed out at 8 years of age, that viewing the television and even walking past the shop stores, the mannequins, them are generally white.
Yes.
She said, no, this is my 8-year-old daughter, you know. She said, when,
yes, because children, as young as they are and even younger than are, they pick up and see these things both consciously and subconsciously.
Yes,
because
and
what these images are doing, hold on a second, my brother. What these images are doing, these racist images are doing, deliberate. It is to plant into the minds of people of all races, not just Africans, not just you. That's to handsome. What you must strive to be is to be European, is to be blonde, is to be blue-eyed, is to have long, straight hair. This is what is being said. It's a form of mental slavery. And for people who are African, for people who are not European. So this is why you have Chinese and Indians, they bleach their skins. You have Chinese and Japanese who undertake surgical operations to make their eyes round. Go on, my brother.
yes, and also she noticed that she said, Dad, on the television and on the computer,
True.
all the models all the ladies them are men that does advertisement.
Yes.
They are white, and when they use a black person, it's a light skin or mixed race.
Yes,
and I felt when my daughter
my
daughter said that to me, man, it's like a dagger stuck in my heart, you know. I'm thinking, how can a little girl like this already feeling this pain?
Yes, it's true. It's deliberate. Either they are European, light skinned, or mixed race. It's true.
And that was coming.
For example, you would have Miss Dynamite. She's mixed race. Her brother, a scholar, he's mixed race. But what I'm pointing out is that people who are mixed race are given preference in terms of promotion and visibility over those who are Africans, in terms of their mothers and fathers are African. This is a fact.
And the biggest example of that, sad to say, but is the truth, Bob Marley and Peter Tosh.
Exactly. The biggest example of that is Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. Exactly. And this is why they try to push that Bob Marley is the king of reggae. Bob Marley is no king of reggae. We have many kings in reggae. Peter Tosh is a king of reggae. Bonnie Wheeler is a king of reggae. The Heptones are kings of reggae. Alton Ellis, the king of reggae. Marcia Griffith, queen of reggae. Jody Mowat, a queen of reggae. Phyllis Dillon, one of our musical queens, etc. But this idea to push Bob Marley alone as the king of reggae is a racist attempt to put down Africans. And this was something that Peter Tosh resisted right for him to do so. It's a fact. It's a fact. This is the kind of racism that we have to deal with. You know, you remember there was a time when Buju Banton, he did a song about Browning.
Yes.
And then he was forced to do a song about that he still likes women who are black because people saw the racism, you know, the mental slavery that was coming out. You're promoting the lighter complexion African, the browning, over the one who is darker. And you remember the Buju Banton song that he did afterwards to try to correct it?
Yes, sir, me love my black woman.
Me love my black woman. You know? So, if you could find that, I would be glad if you could play that. And also, if you could play Nada Ranks from Dunkirk, East Kingston, who did a song called Dem a Bleach. To fight against this bleaching. Nardo Ranks. Yeah. Dem a Bleach.
So you want me to play Love Black Woman first, right?
Yes. Then Nardo Ranks, Dem a Bleach, followed by a next song against bleaching by Queen Ifrica, Mina Rob. Remember Queen Ifrica and the gunman with him, Mina Rob?
Yes. All right.
Yes.
We're going to play.
So those three. Yes, first, Me Love Me Black Woman. Then Nada Ranks from Dunkirk, East Kingston, Dem a Bleach. Then followed by Mina Rob.
All right.
Queen Ifrica, the daughter of Derek Morgan. Queen Ifrica from Spanish Town, St. Catherine, Jamaica, where you and I are from. Silver Fox.
All right, we're going to play that one right now. Buju Banton, Love Black Woman on the Feeling Soul Rhythm.
Yes. Bob Andy, Feeling Soul Rhythm. Original Studio One Rhythm.
Who that? I mean, man. Buju Banton, man, the same you to the Browning song, man. You know what the girl them say? How love them can't done from shoestone to ground. Hear me now.
we don't stop cry. For all black woman, no. Respect all the girl them with dark complexion, but you don't stop cry. For all black woman, one heap of things are going for no complexion. Black is beauty, uno color is one in a million. Have it from birth a natural suntan. Smooth like a grape, not true you use your lotion. Take it care of your complexion. What am I do? What am I try? Where the whole of them a plan? Don't get me wrong because we love black woman and we don't stop cry. For all black woman, respect all the girl them with that complexion. We don't stop cry. For all black woman, no things are wrong for no complexion. Someone, how where you get it? How where you buy it from? Choose some light skin them want to buy tan. Woman no bother worry, no intention. We down, black or brown, no put you right hand. Go and spread it across the nation. Say no have the bucket if have Buju Banton, cause we no stop cry. For all black woman, no things are going for no complex. Buju no stop cry. For all black woman, one heap of things are going for no complexion. I am black, I am proud. Follow Buju Banton and shout it out loud. Black will always stand out in a crowd. You like the silver lining behind the dark cloud. When me sing, we no stop cry. For all black woman, no things are going for no complex. But you no stop cry. For all black woman, one heap of things are going for no complexion. Black is beauty, uno color is one in a million. Have it from birth a natural suntan. Smooth like a grape, not true you use a lotion. Take it care of your complexion. What am I do? What am I try? When the whole of them a plan. Don't get you wrong, but respect black woman and we no stop cry. For all black woman, no things are going for no complex. But you no stop cry. For all black woman, no things are going for no complexion. Someone I wanna buy it, I wanna get it from. To some of them light skin, them want to buy tan. But woman no bother worry, no intention. We down, black or brown, no Buju right and I wanna walk and spread it across the nation. So no have the bucket if have Buju Banton, cause we no stop cry. For all black woman, no things are going for no complex. But you no stop cry. For all black woman, one heap of things are going for no complexion. I am black and I'm proud. Just follow Buju Banton and shout it out loud. Black will always stand out in a crowd. We're like the silver lining behind the dark cloud. So we no stop cry. For all black woman, respect all the girl them with that complexion. We no stop cry. For all black woman, one heap of things are going for no complexion. Whether you black or brown, we all are one. Let's join together, people hand in hand. Follow this youth when you Buju Banton.
Alright, black or brown, we all are one. Buju Banton, love black woman.
Yes, I mean, very, very important. In that Peter Tosh song, he talked about the color thing, He said, irrespective of your shade of darkness, blackness, we are African. Those lyrics are in it also.
Definitely.
And you see this thing to emancipate the minds of our people in terms of beauty is very important, because anyone or any race of people who thinks that they are ugly will never be independent, will never be free. Because if you believe you are ugly, if you believe that your racial characteristics are negative, are ugly and so on, you will never have confidence to achieve anything positive in life. No matter what academic qualifications you have, how much money, because you will have ingrained in you that sense of inferiority. And this thing can only be solved by the African males and females, African men and women. This was why Garvey, one of the factories that he established, made African dolls so that our African babies would grow up playing with African dolls looking like them, because from the very cradle, African girls are taught that they are ugly and that they must try to be like Europeans by straightening their hair and lightening their complexion because their mothers who are mentally enslaved were miseducated to give them these European blonde blue-eyed dolls for their girls to play with. So the girls grow up believing that to be pretty is to be blonde and blue-eyed and to have a pale complexion. So from babyhood, in fact, there are a lot of African mothers, if you say to them, don't you realize you are destroying the mind of your child, your girls, by giving them blonde, blue-eyed European dolls? They get angry with you and said you must leave them alone. They have been so mentally enslaved that they believe that they are ugly, and they are impressing the same thing in the minds of their little girls.
And you know,
then not only that, and then the fathers who are also mentally enslaved do not say, no, you are wrong, do not give my daughters these blonde, blue-eyed dolls. Marcus Garvey showed us the way. He made those dolls, got those dolls made. We need to have more of that.
Yeah,
In fact, you will find if you put to these little girls African dolls and European dolls, most of them will go for the European-looking dolls because this is what they have been programmed by their mothers and fathers. The fathers are involved too because they are around in the home and they allow that to go on. So both parents are responsible for this mental slavery in terms of the standard of beauty. This is very, very wrong. Marcus Garvey's organization, his newspaper, never promoted any products, carried advertisements to promote the bleaching of skin or the straight hair. No. We carry things to promote African beauty in hair and in complexion and in features. Say what you were going to say.
No, I was going to talk about the vision of Marcus Garvey to, for a man when you're going back so many years to add that vision then.
To make the dolls factory, yes. And what has happened is that since then, that has almost gone completely out of the education of our people. Now, if you and I were to go anywhere in Britain to try to get African dolls, it's hard to get any.
And very expensive.
And very expensive, precisely. But the solution to that is the Marcus Garvey solution. We must make our own African dolls. We don't want the Chinese to be making these dolls or the Indians. Because you notice, for example, the flags of our countries. Where are they made? You look and see. Made in China, made in India. You want a flag for Jamaica. You want a flag for Nigeria. You want a flag for Dominica, for Trinidad. But look, where was it made? In China, or in India, or in Europe. We must make these things ourselves. We must make these things ourselves. The clothing industry, the cloth industry in Africa has been almost completely destroyed by cheap Chinese imports who imitate Chinese and Indian, especially Chinese now, imitate the African cloth patterns, the kente cloth and other things and so on. Cheap, inferior, and flood our markets and destroy our native African industries. Very, very serious. So we have to deal with these things. And so you see why they fight against reggae music and programs like this that I, Mandingo, the African from Jamaica, do. Because they know I'm about the education of our people. So the next song that you're going to play now, my brother, to tell our people to stop bleaching is Nada Ranks. Them a bleach.
Definitely. Here comes.
Boy, true Buju Banton tell the girl them about browning. All of the girl them a run go a shop go bleach, cause them want brown skin. All of the girl them. And them a bleach out them skin, them a bleach. Feel look like a browning, them a bleach out them skin, them a bleach. Feel look like a browning, girl me honor you, and you no bleach out your skin. You no use no chemical, feel look like no browning, girl me honor you, and you no bleach out your skin. You no use no chemical, feel look like a browning. 90% of the girl them join the system. Every girl nowadays them want brown skin. Two Buju Banton tell them about the browning. Every girl say them want the color of the pumpkin. So them run gonna shop a figure buy brown skin, and them a bleach out them skin, them a bleach. Feel look like a browning, them a bleach, and them a bleach out them skin, them a bleach. Feel look like a browning. They say go on black girl because you run the place, and look how you nice with your beautiful face. Not true you no brown, that is no disgrace. Cause tell them black girl now why you win the race, and them a bleach out them skin, them a bleach. Feel look like a browning, them a bleach out them skin, them a bleach. Feel look like a browning, girl me honor you, and you no bleach out your skin. You no use no chemical, feel look like no browning, girl me honor you, and you no bleach out your skin. You no use no chemical, feel look like no browning. Now me know this little girl from St. Catherine. A long time me no see her cause she was schooling. One time she did tall and she have black skin. Now she get fat and she have brown skin. Me say wait a little bit, you did the offering. She said no, that's the chemical me using. I me really use and turn brown into she a bleach, and a bleach out her skin. She a bleach, feel look like a browning. She a bleach, and a bleach out her skin. She a bleach, feel look like a browning. Girl me honor you, and you no bleach out your skin. You no use no chemical, feel look like no browning. And me honor you, cause you no bleach out your skin. You no use no chemical, feel look like no browning. Me say black it a the color of the African skin. Say tell me how some gal want brown skin. Every day them get up and them join the bleaching. Not to them really want the color of the pumpkin, and them a bleach. Using a the Nola, you know them a bleach. Use the Ambi, and you know them a bleach. Take the facial and you know them a bleach. When me take it out, yes, you know them a bleach. Them a bleach out them skin, them a bleach. They look like a browning, but me honor you, and you no bleach out your skin. You no use no chemical, they look like no browning. Girl, me honor you, and you no bleach out your skin. You no use no chemical, they look like no browning. Me say jump around, you no bleach out your skin, and hold up your hand and you no bleach out your skin. And the jungle girl, them no bleach out them skin, and Tivoli girl, them no bleach out them skin, and Rima girl, them no bleach out them skin, and Dunker girl, them no bleach out them skin. Me say hold up your hand and wine and ting, and make them know you have your natural skin. Cause some
natural skin, voice of Nada ranks.
Look like
me I tell you, Nada ranks, them a bleach. And you know something, brother Mandingo?
Yes, my brother.
You know that version of Buju Banton we just played, that you asked to be played. That's
yes.
the
Love
Black Woman.
Yes.
Do you know that many DJ stroke selectors do not play that version? They just play the Browning.
Yes, I know, because that's their mentality, the slave mentality. It's true.
Good selectors that don't have the slavish mentality will balance it up by play. Yes, we know Browning is very popular, but you have to balance it up. And
because here what happened? We are not saying we are against those who are of a brownish complexion, but we know what is done. It is played and promoted to the exclusion of those who are dark. Exactly.
Yes.
You know? Yes. You hearing my brother?
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you.
Yes,
I'm hearing you very well.
Real. So, let me just say this. Before we come to a close, the next song is Against the Same Bleaching Thing by Queen Ifrica, the daughter of Derek Morgan. She's from Spanish Town, St. Catherine, Jamaica. And then the last two records that I want you to play will be Africa by the Mighty Diamonds. Africa by the Mighty Diamonds. And I want us to end with the Abyssinians' Declaration of Rights, the studio one. So, Queen Ifrica Minarub, and then afterwards, Africa, our motherland, Africa by the Mighty Diamonds, Channel 1 production. And then the final song, Declaration of Rights by the Mighty Abyssinians.
All right, so we're going to play that track right now, Minarub, by
Queen Ifrica.
Queen Ifrica.
Yes, indeed.
My complexion is better than ever. Man, I'm gonna bleach it out, so it's better, yes, it's better than ever. Brown skin. I know for everybody, so bleaching your fit up if from you do that to your skin, that means that you no love yourself. Jah make you perfect, so no judge yourself. The person where you tell you say black now, we're rugged insecure with themselves, so no follow them. Me now bleach, me no care if that a the trend. Proud to be black as a matter of fact, I have no white card, so don't teach me anything wrong. You want me dilute me color cause you think it too strong. Side effect of skin cancer, that's a 1+. Me don't want to look like no purple dragon. Alright then. I know everybody a robe. I know everybody a robe. Not because Grace and Jack and him Granny a robe. No means say everybody a robe. See you on the corner with your tuggy ways, but make you understand, make you for bleach out your face. Me dead love you when you black, me not lie. But now when me see you, me just feel like we cry. In all my life I have never seen one skin wedded blacker than Baba Green. Get paler than Michael and Billie Jean. It's like you always celebrating Halloween. It might look like said things well nice and pretty, I know. Skin brown and a glisten, everybody a wow. But wait till tomorrow, the beginning of your sorrow, when your brain start melt, if you're wrong, I know everybody a robe. I know everybody a robe. Not because Jack and Grace and our Granny a robe. No means say everybody a robe. Alright. I know everybody a robe. I know everybody a robe. Not because Grace and Jack and him Granny a robe. No means say everybody a robe. How you think the Almighty feel? Fi know him now go recognize you on the day when he must see seal. The voice sound the same, but you no look the same, and you now go have nobody but to no self to blame. Release yourself, bust up the mental shit. No mix no more toothpaste with no banana stain. Can't walk in the sun, now you turn vampire. Skin a burn like say when gas mix with tire. But all is not lost, all you need is prayer. Remember self-destruction are between you and Chacha. So no follow Bevan, do that with yourself. You're right down. Strong up and make your devil tempt you. Yes, I only Babylon, not how you think fi cramp you. Don't be ungrateful to the Father, not try go round the other life harder. I wish I one of them you're rather. Alright, I know everybody a robe. I know everybody a robe. Not because Grace and Jack and him Granny a robe. No means say everybody a robe. Brown skin. I know for everybody, so bleaching your fit up if from you do that to your skin. That means that you not love yourself. Jah make you perfect, so don't judge yourself. The person where you tell you say black now.
Yeah, man, a powerful track from Queen Ifrica. Fighting against bleaching, Minarub, title of the track. Brother Mandingo.
The time. And then the next is Africa. Because we as Africans, no matter where we are born, we must protect Africa. We must keep Africa free, foreign and domestic enslavement. Africa, Mighty Diamonds.
Silver Fox, how this? A Pink Panther, the General, as a SFDC radio.com, a match of the world.
Is the land of home. Yeah. Africa is the land where I and I come from. Africa, our father's land, is calling us home. So long we have been a slave, and no more will we roam. So I hope and I pray that the day will come when we see the rising sun. When no more crying, nor victimizing, no more more starvation. No more killing. Africa is the land of home. Yeah. Africa is the land where I and I belong. Oftentimes I sit right down and remember those chains. How my people was in slavery time and time ago. Oh, I know that one day when the right time comes, so easily, then we will see. No more crying, no victimizing, no more starvation, no more, yeah. Home. So long we have been a slave and no more will we roam. So I hope and I pray that today will come when we'll see the rising sun. Oftentimes I sit right down and I remember those chains. How my people was in slavery time and time and time again. Oh, I hope and pray when the right time comes, so easily you will see.
Yes, Africa, the mighty diamonds.
Yes, indeed. And now the final selection will be, my friends, the Mighty Declaration of Rights, produced by my friend, my mentor, my role model as a producer, the world's greatest record producer, Sir Clement Seymour Dodd of Studio One fame. Declaration of Rights by the Mighty Abyssinians. But guess what? On this one, Leroy Sibbles of the Heptones played the bass on it, and he also sang the harmony in it. The only Abyssinians in this one was actually Bernard Collins, the leader of the Abyssinians, but the two Manning brothers did not sing on this. Okay? For real. And I just want to say, my African people, at home and abroad, in Mother Africa, which is at home, abroad, which is in Britain, Jamaica, Barbados, France, whatever, keep on being strong, keep on working together, and do not allow traitors within the race to destroy the progress of the race. And do not allow non-Africans to destroy the progress for our African race. Remember that. This is our duty. And for Africans in Britain, get in touch with your counselors tomorrow and every day, and also your MPs every day, to tell them that you do not want any bombing by the RAF in Syria, because that is going to put the lives of innocent people of all races and of all religions in more jeopardy. Okay? So get in touch with your counselors and your MPs and tell them, don't ask them, tell them you are demanding, their servants, that you do not want any bombing by the RAF in Syria. We must not allow Cameron and his cronies to put us, the people, in mortal danger. So, final selection today, Sunday the 29th of November, 2015, on SFDC Radio. Straight to the point with Mandingo. Declaration of Rights by the Mighty Abyssinians.
SFDC, radio.com. And them for know what time is it tonight. Say me there in the Caribbean, I feel listen. Outside of the Caribbean, me still I feel listen to the radio station there. SFDC. I saw the thing say.
Away from civilization, brought us to slave in this big plantation, fussing and fighting among ourselves, nothing to achieve this way, it's worse than hell. I say, get up and fight for your right, my brother. Get up and fight for your right, my sister. Took us away from civilization, brought us to slave in this big plantation, fussing and fighting among ourselves, nothing to achieve this way, it's worse than hell. I say, get up and fight for your right, my brothers. Get up and fight for your right, my sister. Get up and fight for your right, my brother. Get up and fight for your right, my sister. Get up and fight for your right.
Silver Fox, how this? A Pink Panther, the General, as a SFDCRadio.com, and mash up the world.
SFDCRadio.com. Hey, them for know what time is it tonight. Save me there in the Caribbean. I feel listen. Outside of the Caribbean.